Welcome to the Three-Man Weave college basketball show hosted by sportsbookreview.com. Back again for a wonderful Tuesday slate. Got some awesome games to talk about today. Before we do, please like and subscribe to the SBR Sports Picks channel. They have tons of shows about all kinds of sports, not just college basketball. They do a lot of great work. Also, check out sbrpicks.com/NCAAB for more college basketball content. You can get our show, you can get write-ups, all kinds of good stuff on that website. Fellas, before getting into the rundown today, let's do some takeaways from the very small slate that was Monday. We're going to start with Jim Root out in Vegas. Jim, what did you see yesterday?
Ky was just one of those nights, unfortunately, for our best bets. I think DePaul was pretty clearly the right side, leading late and really never outside of the number for the final 30 minutes until the final minute. Utah was up 10 at halftime, coin flip most of the second half, and Wyoming, probably the wrong side, but was within 5 with 6 minutes left. And somehow you get 0-3 with that. Just one of those nights. Hopefully sometime we'll have one where it's 1-1-1 like that. We go 3-0. So just got to shrug it off.
Yeah, Jim, cue up the tape where we warned the viewers to maybe potentially split those bets from full game into first half and full game to sort of hedge yourself against the emotional trials and tribulations of some of these last 4-minute debacles. I just want to, throw some more. I want to tar and feather DePaul. There's some things in life never change. Death, taxes, the sun rising. DePaul basketball just sort of being in a tailspin, and they will forever remain in the cellar of the Big East as long as Dave Leitao is there. They're now 0-4 in the Big East this year after coughing up a pretty solid situation there down the stretch. 6 minutes to go. 7 turnovers, 4 points, Ky. That is not going to get it done. Dave Leitao currently sitting at a 19-75 cumulative record in the Big East since he arrived. And just a tale as old as time. So
yeah, and Matt, we should expect some dogs break down sometimes at the end of the games.
They
DePaul
did.
Obviously within the number the entire game. That was clearly the right side, guys. Utah, I think, was still the right side. I'd make the same bet today. 10-point halftime lead. Just collapsed in that second half. Shout out to Prairie View A&M, guys. You guys got it done. Continue to go toe-to-toe with Texas Southern
Panthers.
in the SWAC. It is a 2-team race out there. Matt, no disrespect to your Southern Jaguars down there. They have a good team as well. Okay, moving on. Tuesday slate, here we go. Wisconsin at Michigan leads us off. Man, game of the day right here, fellas. One of the best games of the year. 2 top 7 KenPom teams. Wisconsin coming off an Indiana scare. Michigan, Matt, getting buzzed as a top 5, even top 3 team by some people.
Yep.
By far their biggest test here tonight. Who you got?
I think I lean the Badgers. It just feels like that point where the Michigan freight train sort of maybe hits a few bumps in the road. I mean, they've literally done nothing wrong so far to this juncture. We talked about yesterday how I think Wisconsin's actually the better team. So I think you're catching basically a coin flip type game in a situation where home court just really hasn't played as strongly. I need to look at some of the data, but just, we saw last night these home dogs didn't quite have that same juice. Even the smaller home dogs are the home favorites. I think that home court advantage is deflated tonight. I think the matchup with Micah Potter being able to stretch away Hunter Dickinson is a big edge for Wisconsin. Jim, are you going with the Buzzcuts tonight?
Not officially. I would definitely lean that way. I think they're probably evenly matched. So yeah, I think this is more like a 2-point spread than it is 3.5, which is what I'm seeing out there. And I think on the other end, Matt, the Wisconsin bigs, whether it's Potter or Reavers, can mostly match up with Dickinson. I'm sure Wisconsin will still double because that's what the pack line kind of dictates for post-ups. But the Badgers are so disciplined in their rotations that it's going to be the first time Michigan's really seeing somebody that is like nails on their rotations. This is the first top 30 team in KenPom that Michigan has played this year, and Wisconsin's 5th. So, I mean, that's a pretty big step up in competition. Their last biggest game was against Road Minnesota, who has been just abysmal. So this is a totally different class of opponent for them. I would lean towards the Badgers, but nothing super strong.
Yeah, agreed. Dickinson sort of runs into some real size in this game. No offense to Liam Robbins. He's been great for Minnesota, but this is his true first Big Ten big man test with Potter, with even Reavers to a certain degree, going up toe-to-toe with those big men. I lean the Badgers too, guys, plus 3.5, plus 4. I think they're actually a slightly better squad this season, and they're priced as the worst team here. I don't think the home court advantage is 3 or 4, so they are priced as the worst team right now. And I don't think that's right. So I would lean the Badgers in this game. Not strong enough to officially take anything on the show, but on Wisconsin, Jim, as they like to say in your home state.
Roll Badgers. Roll
Badgers. All right, next game. Here we go. Kansas at Oklahoma State. Kansas now up to -4, I believe. Fellas, correct me if I'm wrong. Oklahoma State's Big 12 losses, guys. Here they are. TCU by 2, Texas by 3, West Virginia by 3. This team's been excellent, especially as a dog. Jim, Kansas might have an advantage inside. McCormick needs to have a big game, but 4 points seems like a little bit too much for me for Oklahoma State. What do you think?
I sort of lean towards Kansas, although they haven't been very sharp lately. The one guy I want to call out, David McCormick had 1 rebound in 25 minutes against that Oklahoma front line, shorthanded front line with no Brady Manick.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous for a man of that size. I think he could like roll backwards or lay on the ground and get more than 1 rebound. That's a joke. This team's so reliant on making shots because they don't get easy baskets. The drives aren't quite there. They're not getting the lob dunks as much. It's kind of a struggle for them, but I think the transition defense is too good for Oklahoma State. That's really where the Cowboys score. It's a young team, and if Kansas can force them to play in the half court, then this is probably the Jayhawks game. So nothing super strong for me. Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, I will be on the Jayhawks here. I think, Jim, you touched on some of these points. KU has not had an easy time scoring this year, but I think it's Oklahoma's kind of helter-skelter defense. They're not always well connected. We've talked about how Mike Boynton's defensive blueprint is a little bit inconsistent. They have a propensity to give up a lot of easy baskets. I think KU is smart enough to pick up to exploit those gaps in the defense tonight. They've also been very good in transition this year. Oklahoma State, not a great transition defense, and I just think that's an area where the guards can get out and really attack. On the other side of the ball, Marcus Garrett, if you're looking for a defensive stopgap to one of the best players in the country, in Cade Cunningham, Garrett's obviously that. You could also throw Jalen Wilson on him as well, a 6'8", even a bigger, kind of upsized defender. So multiple options to shut down Cade. He's really the catalyst for the Pokes. I like the Jayhawks here, Ky.
Yeah, it's a stay away from me either way, guys. I just don't really feel confident either side. I just think 4 feels a little bit high from what's been a scrappy dog all season in the Big 12. Moving on to an ACC game here, Duke, the mighty, mighty Blue Devils, the villain of college basketball, at Virginia Tech. This game flipped favorites. This opened up Virginia Tech -1.5. Duke now is the favorite, 1.5, -2. Va Tech's been terrific this year, guys. They could be 4-0 in the ACC, but they faltered against Louisville. Duke, Jim, well, Duke has yet to score a good win all year. Again, no offense to Notre Dame, but the Blue Devils have not looked like themselves. Who you got in this game?
I probably would lean towards Virginia Tech. Duke's kind of gone up to -1.5, -2, likely with the news that Jalen Johnson is probably going to dress for this one, coming off his foot injury. There's no definite word on his status, whether he'll play. It sounds like maybe he'll go through warmups. That's obviously a big deal. He was their highest rated recruit. He was super productive in the games before he got hurt. But the Duke guard play is still shaky to me. Blacksburg's been a semi-house of horrors. It hasn't been that bad. Just looking back at the stats, they really just struggled against like the good Buzz Williams teams, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I would lean towards Virginia Tech as Duke seems to be getting bet up right now, but not super strongly. Matt, you're the Duke expert. What do you got?
No, anecdotally, that kind of like the lantern type lighting there, Virginia Tech's always gives me the heebie-jeebies. So it feels like it has been a house of horrors. I know the data doesn't quite bear that out. Anytime Duke goes Virginia Tech, though, I don't feel good about it, and I'm sure Hokie fans feel great about that situation. I was gonna take Duke at the opener, but now it's flipped too far. I made Duke a slight favorite in this game. I have no appetite to bet this Duke team, a young team still learning defensive rotations, having to guard a Mike Young offense. That's something I do not trust. The Hokies' big men have improved vastly as well. Aluma has really emerged as a force inside for them. So there's no Duke size or athleticism advantage at all here. I think this is a hard stay away.
Yeah, and Matt, I totally agree with everything you just said. I think there is a size advantage. It doesn't matter. Va Tech rebounds so well defensively. They play bigger than their height is. And you said Duke's defense. Yeah, they need to be locked in because Mike Young's offense is gorgeous. They have so many guys that can hurt you from so many different spots. No one true star player on this team. Just a lot of weapons. I agree. I like Duke as a dog. I do not like them as a favorite, so I would stay away this game at all costs. Moving on to an SEC contest. Alabama, Jim's darlings, at Kentucky, nobody's darlings this year. But are they starting to find their swagger a little bit?
Yeah.
Gross wins over Miss State and Vandy, but an impressive stomping against Florida. That Dante Allen's emergence has been key for them. Also got Keon Brooks back. But can they stop the fire that is Alabama tonight?
I do lean Kentucky here, Mr. McKeon. What I saw from Keon Brooks in his debut, 25 minutes, 12 points, perfect from inside the arc. He had 4 assists, 2 turnovers, also snagged 6 rebounds. I think Kentucky is starving for consistent guard play. And with the emergence of Allen coming off as a spot shooter, Brooks back in the fold, you saw BJ Boston play one of his best games. We're going to see a little bit of a deja vu of last season when Kentucky was a little bit undervalued heading into conference play. I think you're starting to see that emerge now. I'm not looking to go all in against an Alabama team that should, it seems to be firing all cylinders as well. But as always, to get the Undertaker, Mr. Jim Root, the former fiance of Nate Oates' take on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to bet against Alabama either right now. They're on a massive cover streak. They did the same thing last year. They went on a tear. But I think your comparison on Kentucky's correct, too. They're undervalued entering league play. Getting Brooks and Allen into the fold and really making actual impacts changes this team completely. Brooks gives them like a go-to inside scorer who's also a willing passer. I haven't looked exactly, but I bet their big man had like 5 assists on the season before last game, and he had 4 assists in one game. So that's a massive increase in value for that team. So, probably lean towards Kentucky at Rupp, but I just don't want to bet against the Crimson Tide right now. They look really good, maybe the second best team in the league, and they already won at Tennessee. So it's not like they're a bad road team or anything.
Yeah, I have a total lean in this one, guys. I lean towards the over, mostly because Alabama's offensive efficiency has been off the charts lately. The pace should be pretty high. I think Kentucky gets some things working on the offensive end as well. So if anything, I would lean the over in this game. I'd probably lean towards the Tide, been the better team, but Kentucky does seem to be finding their stride a little bit. Lots of fence riding, guys, for the first 4 or 5 games here. I understand, Chat Mob. We're
going to keep it sharp. We were trying to keep it, disciplined. Didn't have a good day yesterday, so let's keep it disciplined.
Yeah, I'm shook. I am I'm in shambles right now.
Yes. Speaking of the Chat Mob, let's get to some Chat Mob questions. Round 1 here. Matt, you are the czar today. What do we got?
A couple of folks asking predictably about one of the bigger Big East showdowns today. Nick Van T and the Truth specifically. Johnny's Butler. We do have a Weave 2v1 showdown here. Do we want to talk about this now? But no one has this as a best bet, right? So this is going to be a me and Jim shove kind of locker situation. Me and Jimbo like the Johnnies. Ky, tell the mob why we are wrong.
I like Butler, guys. They desperately need a win. They're getting healthy. And this is a vulnerable Big East opponent in St. John's. You can't say that about many Big East opponents. You have 3 to choose from: St. John's, Georgetown, and DePaul. Butler has certainly been one of those teams this year. But in a game they absolutely need to win. Yes, it's on the road. I like them healthy. I like them as a dog. So, yeah, I'm against you guys. I do like Butler +2. Why am I wrong, guys?
I just think it sets up well for St. John's. They've been a little sloppy on the road. They got bombed from deep by Zagorowski-less Creighton. I think Creighton hit 16 threes in that game. Yep. Butler doesn't have that kind of offensive firepower, or at least I don't think they do, but maybe everyone does against St. John's defense. We'll find out. It just feels like a St. John's, we're back home in Carnesecca Arena. They can get a win here. But Ky, to your point, Butler's kind of in the same place where they desperately need a win in the Big East. So perhaps we should just be staying away. Instead, we're split on this one.
I think Julian Champagne has a huge game. Too athletic for Butler. Very good front line, but I think he's a mismatch for the Johnnies there. Let's kind of trickle down to mid-major land here. Breezy Baby, our guy, asking about SIUE versus Eastern Illinois. I think we have a consensus take on this one. Jim, do you want to spoil that for the folks?
We lean towards Eastern Illinois, but the line has been just obliterated.
It's been up to
it's like 7.5, 8 now. SIUE coming out of a shutdown, they are probably missing some players. We don't know exactly who. The coach hinted at it. He did not name names, which has come to be the norm in this point. But EIU, very veteran team, not going to be phased on the road. They're coming off 2 tough games at home where they pulled one out against Murray State, then lost at the buzzer to Austin Peay. I feel like this one sets up fairly well for EIU, but again, not taking it at the current number because the market is wise to it.
Yeah, I would endorse a first half play, maybe if you can get 3.5, maybe 4, just to kind of cut into that that value that you've lost a little bit. I think they come out with a strong effort. You can see SIU struggling out of the gate as they get their feet under them coming out of the shutdown. So if you want to capture that value, I think a first half play is worth a look. Let's go to a deep cut request here. One more, we'll go back to the outline. We'll save a few for the second chapter of Chat Mob Inquiries. Bama State versus Mississippi Valley State. Ky, the Delta Devils have been a unit.
The Double Ds.
This is their first home game. They're back in the friendly confines of Idabetta. Do they come out with a strong effort here? Do they continue to roll over in the field position as they have pretty much all season?
Frankly, I don't think Alabama State should be favored by this much against any team, including Mississippi Valley State. Wow. Yeah, so I actually lean towards the Delta Devils. Not taking a side, I do like the over, though. The over would be a play for me in this game. Matt, we've talked about it a little bit. Alabama State just not that good this year. I don't really trust them as a favorite.
Mississippi Valley State currently pulling off the twofer of the worst offense and the worst defense.
It's so impressive.
So shout out to
impressive.
them.
It's impressive.
Tough.
Yeah,
I'm with Ky, though. I think
team,
would be the play there.
It's a balanced team for sure. All right, let's go back to the outline here. I'll holster a few of these other matchups for the end.
Oh, sorry, Matthew. I wasn't listening to you. Let's move on to Providence. Providence at Marquette. This game was Baylor, West Virginia, but that game was canceled. That would have been an awesome game, by the way, guys. Instead, we will be talking Providence at Marquette in a Big East battle. What a crushing defeat at Xavier for Providence, man. Whew. They were up 7 with over a minute to play, just over a minute to play. Lost on a buzzer beater. Marquette can relate, guys. They lost on a buzzer beater to Xavier also. Matt, the Eagles are 2-4 in the Big East. They're struggling. This is a game they need. Do they bounce back at home?
Yeah, I guess both teams have a little bit of that bounce back momentum, so it sort of negates each other. I would typically lean Providence in historical years, just more the physicality, the length against Marquette. But this is a new Marquette team. We've talked about this at length. It started last year. It's been rolled over to this season with Theo John as the enforcer there. The way Dawson Garcia's played, I think they're actually probably the sturdier team up front. I lean Marquette up from a matchup perspective, Jim.
Yeah, I lean Marquette too. Jared Bynum potentially out for Providence, missed last game. That puts so much of a burden on David Duke to score and distribute, and he was fantastic against Xavier. I mean, he couldn't miss from downtown. I think he hit 6 threes, had 30 points, but it might show up a little more against a team that's stronger defensively than Xavier, I would say. Marquette just with their length up front, like you said, Matt. I would lean towards Marquette here at home, but nothing strong again. It's just we're kind of dancing around it. The number also has been bet up where it opened 3. It's 3.5, 4. So you do lose a little value on that. It actually opened 2.5 at Chris, so I would have liked 2.5, but I can't recommend it at 3.5 past that key number.
Well, guys, I'll put my flag down finally here on something. I'll make Marquette my best bet, and I'm getting a worse number than I liked it at minus 3.5. Jim, if you allow me to have it. We did think Marquette's defense would be the best it's ever been under Wojo. Not really the case yet. 73rd nationally. I do think they match up well with Providence, though. If they're going to shut down the paint, they more or less allow teams to shoot from the outside. That's not the Friars' strength. I love the Marquette bounce back angle here. Sitting at 2-4, they need this win. They can't fall 2-5 in the league. Providence, I believe, is at 3-3. Bynum might be iffy for Providence still. Wasn't really a factor in the Xavier game, but Marquette, guys, will be my best bet. Minus 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
Check me
on
that. All right.
Yep.
There you go. Golden Eagles. Caca. There's a play. Eagles say caca, right? That's a thing that Eagles do.
Yeah, they can now. They will start now. You started it.
Yes. All right, next game. Syracuse at North Carolina. UNC is favored by 4 points now. I believe the spread's gone up a little bit from the opener, just a tad. Guys, I love fading Syracuse. The odds makers have them so high.
Yes, they do.
A lot of it has to do with that 40-point win at Boston College. They really bumped up in KenPom after that. But UNC hasn't been great. They've won their last 2 games by a combined 3 points. They're a measly 2-2 in ACC play. Jim, I lean UNC because I just love fading Syracuse so much. But should people be back in the orange instead?
I matchup wise, I lean North Carolina. Before last year's ACC tournament, where Syracuse just ruthlessly ended that terrible Carolina season, UNC had won 9 straight against Syracuse, against Boeheim. Roy Williams kind of knows what to do against the zone. He's got bigs that dominate the offensive glass. That's the big thing. I think they're going to get tons of second shots against the Syracuse front line, even if Sidibe plays. The worry is that UNC shooting is not really strong enough to stretch the zone out, which I think is understandable. But a line that closer to where they'd have to win, or mostly just win, I would lean towards North Carolina, especially back at home. But bet up from 3.5 to 4. Again, I'm not quite going to recommend it. Again, staying conservative after an over day yesterday. What do you got, Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to take my second blue blood here of the show. I took the Jayhawks at a field goal +1 earlier, and I'll do the same here with North Carolina. Jim, you hit it on the head. Roy Williams historically has owned Boeheim. Just the army of bigs that he has. They're typically good passers. They know how to find the gaps in the zone. And despite UNC's shooting lows, they should get at least 10 or 12 to 15 boards tonight, steal extra possessions. I think they'll defend well enough to keep Syracuse from torch them on the other end. Sidibe's presence is going to be big, though, if he plays tonight for Syracuse. Without him, that's a really thin, it's a long but a very lanky front line for Cuse. I think UNC can bully in the right spot. So I will take the heels here, Ky.
All right, taking the heels, Matt. I lean the over in this game. And guys, North Carolina's shooting does scare me against the 2-3 zone, but that offensive glass should be North Carolina's for the taking. It's tough to rebound out of a zone. We know this. So I lean the over. I lean the heels. Not going to take the heels. Moving on to our last game on the rundown before we finish off with a few more chat mob questions. Ole Miss at Florida. Florida -3. Last time I checked, guys, I believe that's where it's at. I'm still pretty convinced Ole Miss ain't that good. They got thoroughly beaten by LSU and Alabama. They won against a shorthanded Auburn team. That doesn't impress me. Matt, they have no top 75 wins all year, Ole Miss does. However, Florida's lost 2 straight in convincing fashion. Perhaps the Keontae Johnson absence is catching up with them. They've dropped from 23 to 40 in KenPom after the Kentucky loss. But, Matt, you're an Ole Miss guy. Just tell me why I'm wrong.
I think me and Jim are both Kermit guys in general. Both these teams I'm relatively higher on, it feels like. However, recent performances don't appear to justify that. This is definitely a stay away from me. I need to sit back and learn. I think both these teams are still sort of figuring out their identity. Ole Miss with a couple of key pieces to integrate with Romelo White. They haven't – the perimeter pecking order is still a little bit shaky. Florida obviously still shell-shocked from the loss of Key Johnson. Had some good efforts, but – also shown some signs of a cracking. I'm just going to sit back and watch now. I need to learn more about both teams, Jim.
I'm kind of skeptical of Florida against good defensive teams. They got shut down by Kentucky and Alabama, scoring less than 1 point per possession against both. They kind of gotten, looked great against LSU's defense and Vandy's defense before that. But if this Mississippi defense is for real, I think they've got to show it in this one and hold Florida right around that 1 point per possession number. If not, then I think we can officially start calling them frauds, which is a bummer because I do like Kermit. But the question with Florida is after 2 convincing losses, I'm wondering if Mike White's going to start micromanaging things and make them play slower and try to be like, I want to run this set right
Please
now.
Please don't do this, Mike. Do not do this.
I hope he doesn't. The team is too talented and athletic to bog them down and do a half-court set. But after 2 embarrassing performances, we'll see, because the last 2 years, that's all he's done is micromanage. So I don't know. I would lean towards Florida, but again, like Matt, it's just hard to know with these 2 teams right now.
Unleash the Kraken.
He needs to. They need to play in transition in this one. If they try to play half-court offense against Ole Miss, it'll be a disaster for them. I do lean Florida. I'm not a huge fan of them as a favorite, and I do think the Keontae absence is really catching up with them. But again, I don't think Ole Miss is very good, so I'm not confident in them as a dog either. All right, let's hit best bets very quickly. I shared mine. Jim, where are you going for your best bet? A game we surprisingly have not touched on yet. What we got?
We've been holding off so we can get it in my best bet section here. Going to the ACC, I'm taking Miami as a road favorite at Boston College. -2.5 makes me a little nervous because we've seen Miami be feisty as an underdog recently while shorthanded, but road favorite, kind of a different situation. However, Mekhi Ashton-Langford still out for Boston College. Potentially Stephon Mitchell, their best rebounder. He missed last game as well. Miami not getting Likes or McGusty back. They were officially ruled out this morning. But I think I'm okay with that. This Miami role and rotation has kind of fallen into place with Wong being the leading scorer, and you got Olani and Timberlake being complementary guys. Matt Cross is clearly healthier. He's made 12 threes in his last 4 games after making 4 in the first 6 when he had like a shoulder thing that was affecting his shooting motion. So Miami's just a little better. They've hit their stride. They just came off the win at NC State. I think they're getting confident. BC, however, has looked bad. So yeah, I'm going to take Miami, Florida here. Not my favorite best bet of all time, but Miami 2.5. That's what I got today.
Jim, I like your Cane. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jim, I like your Cane side there. They've been really good without Likes and McGusta. I think that solid 8-man rotation has been solidified there. I'm going to go, again, we haven't talked about chat mob inquiry from our guy, Dom the Dominator, asking about TCU Oklahoma. I will be on the Horned Frogs tonight. Brady Manick and Jalen Hill have already been confirmed out for this game. You got to give the Sooners credit. They're a pretty feisty effort without those 2 at Kansas. Jim talked about that earlier. I just think they show a little bit some signs of a cracking tonight. It's a TCU team that's now fully healthy. TCU got blown out in the second half against Baylor, but they hung in there for 25 minutes against a Baylor team that we view, as almost a cut above the rest of the country, save Gonzaga. So I think the Horned Frogs, especially under Jamie Dixon, are going to be a live dog tonight. I would take the Horned Frogs at +8 if it's still there.
7 is probably the number you're getting right now, Matt.
That's fine. 7's where I do the line, so I'll take 7 as well.
I'm jumping on with you, Matt. TCU
Come on,
for me, man.
Water's warm.
Yeah.
Come on in.
I won't jinx it and make it consensus. Although I will say we are 11-8 on official show plays where all 3 of us are on. I went and did the work, the calculations yesterday. We were 11-7 before that Utah lost yesterday. So it's not some kiss of death if all 3 of us are on it. But
hey, Utah, try not going 2-11 from the free throw line. Maybe make like 5 free throws. Jesus,
fellas, it's all about what have you done for me lately. We've been a little cold lately. People don't talk about it when we're on hot streaks. People always talk about when we're on cold streaks. It's okay. It's the nature of the beast. I understand. My pick, guys, was Marquette -3.5. Explained why earlier in the show. Go Golden Eagles, caw. All right, let's go to the chat mob, a feisty chat mob. Like I said, we got some guys show up today that clearly have not watched our show all year, just showing up to say whatever they want, I guess, in the chat. Matt, what do we got?
Ours is a program we welcome any and all. So all commentary, good, bad. It's an open party here, open season.
I'm Creed with arms wide open. Yeah, let's do it.
Andrew M asking about Tennessee versus Vanderbilt tonight.
Canceled.
I was gonna be on Vandy, so add that to a hypothetical winner for my bets best record. Betting against Tennessee is probably a fool's errand. But anyway, another one, a lot of MAC action tonight. Johnny Hambone asking about Buffalo versus Western Michigan. The running Bulls are in fact a running team. They've been pretty strong this year. Ky, I think you were leaning toward the favorite in this one. Is that correct?
I was leaning towards Buffalo, Matt. The spread's gotten a little bit up there. I love the over in this game. That's also gotten bet up. My strike for the over was around 147. It's currently 148 or higher. So that's currently a no bet for me. If you can find 147 for the over, I would definitely take Buffalo. Western Michigan over. Lean towards Buffalo as a favorite. Western Michigan been a little shaky this year, guys, as much as I liked them early on in the year.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a bad team. Western Michigan's really struggled. Mbala is healthy for Buffalo. He had 19 and 19 last game. And Keyshawn Bruton, the Coastal Carolina transfers, hit like 2 threes in every game so far. So they've got some offensive punch now.
Yep. Hey, let's just hit the other 2 MAC games while we're at. I don't see any other specific inquiries from the chat that's not already on the schedule. Again, another shorter slate tonight. Toledo, Eastern Michigan. Jim, again, the ringleader of Toledo's Gamblers Anonymous.
Don't fade Toledo. Don't do it. Why do it?
I considered it. I'll be honest. I think EMU had really strong effort against Akron. They're getting healthier, but I just cannot do it. Toledo's been on fire. The guard play that they've gotten from Marion Jackson, Spencer Littleson, and Ryan Rollins, as good of a trio as you'll find in the MAC. So yeah, I think you just
they're going
to
cut that 2-3 to ribbons.
Especially with no size up front, EMU could be gutted there. The other one is Bowling Green, Ball State. Ball State dealing with some injuries. We've mentioned those before. Still waiting to get their starting point guard, Jerron Coleman, back. They were also down a few other guys due to COVID contract tracing last game. I was supposed to get Mireni Thomas.
It's like Myron. I think it's
Myron Thomas. Myron. Okay.
Surprised me on the broadcast I was watching. I was like,
that is odd. Yeah, I need to write down in my notepad of pronunciations when I hear on broadcast. But so I think that sets up for a good spot for Bowling Green. Jim, Ky, any takes on this one? I think this is a hard stay away on both sides in total.
Yeah, I don't have anything in the MAC at all today. I would lean Bowling Green. Then the other one I think a couple people asked about was Ohio.
Ohio, right? Yeah, yeah.
Well, Jason Preston is officially back.
He's back.
Yeah, that's big.
That line's shot up though. It opened around 6 or 7, I think, and then it's up to 9 right now. Yeah, open 7 at Chris, up to 9. So people are definitely wise to Preston being back.
As far as Maction goes, I did like Eastern Michigan. That spread's come down a little bit. I lean Ohio. I wouldn't take Miami with Jason Preston back. And then Matt, what was the last? What was the last MAC game? Bowling Green. The spread feels high, but I can't touch Ball State yet without Coleman back.
And if you just asked about here, Albaza and Achilles asking about Kent State. They're -6 on the road at Central Michigan. The big question mark there is Danny Pippen's status. Did not play last game. Jim, I know you dug into this. Sounds like he could play, is expected to play, but it's really a game time decision. He's had chronic knee issues his whole career. I mean, but when he plays,
it's apparently a back issue, right? It's a back issue right now.
Okay,
he was kind of like going through he basically never practices. So they were getting ready for the game, and he just couldn't quite go. Senderoff said he expects him on Tuesday, but he's like, if he can't play, he can't play. I would take the over if Pippen is out. I think this is going to be a track meet without him. Senderoff talked about how much they need points in transition without a guy like Pippen in the paint. Yeah. So keep an eye on that. If he's out, I think the over has value.
Yeah, and Nuga and Santiago, those two guards love to run. So I think that could be a good play if Pippen is indeed out, Jim. I will endorse that. That concludes our chat mob inquiries. Again, another short slate. So I think we got pretty much through everything tonight.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us once again. Let you out a little earlier than usual, 9:31. We will see you tomorrow.
Dismissed.
Yes, 9 a.m. Central. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We will see you guys. Again, please go to sbrpicks.com/NCAAB. Also hit the like button, please, and subscribe to SBR Sports Picks YouTube channel. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday.